It's almost been 2 years since first creating my dream room, and man, has a lot changed. It's crazy to think that I'm finally in a space that I'm comfortable and happy with, because it wasn't always like this. There was a lot of mistakes made and money wasted. And truthfully, most of that could have been avoided if I had had the knowledge that I do today. That's kind of why I thought it would be great to go through everything I've upgraded over the past 2 years. I'm gonna go through everything that's changed, the purchases I regret, and of course the few items I can't live without. If you want to know what to avoid, but also plenty of inspiration for building your dream room on a budget, then this video is for you. Let's not waste any more time and get into the progression of my dream room. Now this is version 1 of my dream room, and I believe these clips were shot August 31st, 2022. Flat out, I hated a lot about this room, I'm not gonna lie. The first thing I regret buying was this cheap rug from Amazon. It did look good, but it was a nightmare to clean. Trust me y'all, one thing to not cheap out on is your rug. I do think it's worth it to pay a little bit extra, or if you're a deal hunter like myself, try a few pawn shops or thrift stores. The second thing I hated about this room was my desk setup, because, well, it wasn't even really a desk. To add to that, the monitor setup was very unaesthetic. It wasn't even really centered to the room, so it always kind of looked awkward on my wall. Then when it came to the actual desk space, I was always banging my knees because literally nothing was centered. I think overall it had a pretty decent look, but practicality wise, it was an F-. The third thing I really regret doing in this room was so many exposed LEDs. I've already grown out of LEDs and kind of feel like they're tacky, but there is definitely a way to have LEDs and make it look tasteful. Having them exposed and all over your walls is not one of those ways. Now, with all the things I don't like, there were a few good takeaways that I would recommend for y'all to try for yourself. The first thing that I loved was how much storage I had. I mean, beyond the bookshelf and my bedside table, around this time I picked up a bunch of storage cubes. So at this point I had a bunch of spots to organize, and it was very easy to keep my room clean and decluttered. One other thing I did like was how my desk area looked aesthetically. Of course, y'all already know how I felt about it functionally. I think if there was a better desk area, it could have been an okay idea. This was by far my worst room, which is why I don't want to talk about it much. Let's move on to version 2. Version 2 of my dream room took about 6 months to kind of build out in total, and y'all, it was finally in a place that I was happy with in December of 2023. There was a whole lot that changed and things that I really loved, but this was kind of just the dream room that took too long to complete. Sounds confusing, but I'll explain why in just a second. A few things that I really loved about this room and that I recommend you guys trying is, first, the cloud ceiling. I mean, this was a very simple DIY. It costed me less than $100 with the high quality Govee neon strip, some polyester fill, and spray adhesive, and overall it only took me about 20 minutes to get set up. Now, one thing that I've heard is that these attract spiders and are basically a breeding ground for them. From my experience, I've never seen a single spider in that cloud ceiling, and when I took it down, I also really didn't see anything. The second thing I loved about this room was my desk setup. I mean, not only did I get a new standing desk, dual monitor arm, and a second LG monitor. Now that I think about it, I was clearly balling at this point. Overall, the desk area was so much more comfortable, and at some point I even picked up this beautiful ergonomic chair, which did run me a few $100s, but I love and use literally every single day. The third thing I loved and recommend you guys trying is this overgrown bookshelf. This bookshelf was actually part of my desk previously. I flipped it upright, bought some cheap vines and grass squares, and with only a few dollars, turned my old boring bookshelf into a really dope showpiece for my room. The fourth thing that I'd recommend you guys getting are some floating shelves. Now, I have this 2-pack of white shelves from Amazon, and I feel like it filled up my wall in such an aesthetic way. Definitely a great improvement from the small shelves that I had previously. Now, for the most part, that's everything that I loved about this version of the room. And moving on to the things that I regret, it's kind of funny because the first thing happens to be the cloud ceiling that I recommended. Now, trust me, I gotta let me land here, because the issue is I'm now 23, about to be 24, and I just felt like I was getting a little bit too old to have a whole cloud ceiling in the room. With age comes maturity, so one thing I definitely regret about this room was keeping up these exposed LEDs above my closet. Not to my defense, I was using this as a light source at the time, but as you guys will see in version 3 of my room, I've added some great affordable lighting options that are so much better than just boring old LEDs. The third thing you guys should definitely be cautious with doing is adding pencil drawers to your desk. I'm a dumbass, and the way that I placed them on my desk didn't allow my chair to slide into my desk, which for months was so uncomfortable. Before actually sticking them down, don't make the mistake I did and make sure that your chair fits comfortably. Now, there are 2 other things I recommend avoiding that I had in this room. One of them being having a mirror on the floor. Floor mirrors are great if you have space. I'm personally limited with space, so if you're in the same boat as me, I recommend just getting a mirror that you could stick on your door like I have. The final thing that I regret about this room, mostly because I grew out of it, was having my sneakers displayed everywhere. Now, one thing I do preach is to have your interests and things that you like showcased throughout your room and implemented in your decor. But in this case, I had 15 plus pairs of shoes displayed, and at that point it almost became more of a showroom for my sneakers than a bedroom. Yeah, I wasn't lying when I said there was a lot of changes. I mean, I'm definitely skipping over quite a bit. So if you want to see the full version 2 of my room, I'll link the full room tour video in the description below. But it's time to move on to version 3 of my dream room, which is what I'm currently sitting in right now. Again, a lot of changes made, and this is easily my favorite room that I've ever lived in. Not only does this space fit my lifestyle, but it's also the perfect atmosphere to chill, work, and create content in. Let's get right into my favorite things about this room. The first thing being my new vintage posters. Now previously I just had regular vinyl posters, but for these ones I made the upgrade to canvas, which gives these posters such a nice vintage textured look. In addition to that, I got some nice quality wood frames and of course these poster lights, which I think adds the perfect touch to these posters. Honestly guys, if you like this look, you can get literally all of this right here for under $100. Of course, everything mentioned in this video will be linked in the description below. So let's just go ahead and move on to the second thing I love about this room. And guys, I'm talking about my new light fixture. Now you can't see it currently, but before I just had a basic UV lamp fixture, and it was super boring. I mean, honestly, I didn't even turn on the ceiling light in my room at all. Making this switch was not only affordable, but it adds such a nice homey feel to my room. It also pairs perfectly with this other rice paper floor lamp that I picked up recently. The third thing that I love is my rug. Now this one did cost me $150, but it was a great investment because this one is not only so much better quality, but it's so much easier to maintain and keep clean, meaning I'll likely have this rug for many years to come. Beyond the quality boost, I'm also very happy with the look and color palette that fits perfectly with my new room design. Ultimately, the best change that I made to my room when redesigning everything was repainting my walls. I did mention that I wasn't happy with the blue paint I had previously, but painting my walls also made me tear down everything that I had up and start from a new, fresh perspective. This made a world of difference because I no longer have ugly LEDs, wasted space, and I feel so much more comfortable in my bedroom. Now guys, although I am super pleased with my current setup, there's obviously some changes that still need to be made and a few things that I honestly regret buying. The first thing is this LED bedside table that I picked up from Amazon. I've had this for about a year and a half, and it's fully falling apart. In my head, this doesn't add up because I haven't even really moved this much and somehow it's still falling apart. There's paint chipping and just a lot more wear and tear than you would expect from a bedside table. I do have my eye on a few replacements, but similar to the rug, this is something that I don't want to cheap out on, so I might have to save up until I'm not fully broke anymore. Shit, if y'all want to see that sooner, make sure to subscribe and like this video because it will help a ton. The second thing that I'm not happy with is this sewing desk. Personally, I actually like the desk area itself and I do use it quite a bit in my daily life. My issue right now is I think this desk is ugly and I also don't think it fits the aesthetic of my room too well. So for that, I am thinking about maybe picking up another standing desk. I think it would be good to be able to stand up because I also pack orders for my brand over there on that table. The third thing that I really don't like about my room right now and that you guys should avoid for yourself is my walls just feel a little bit bare. Now in my opinion, 2 out of the 4 walls are perfect and already filled out, but I do have an open space over here as well as a few empty spaces on the other side of my room. As of now, I have the idea of putting a new neon sign above my closet and then maybe adding some dope artwork that's different than posters to fill in the remaining space. Now, I say it's my dream room and I love it, but I feel like there are always changes that are going to be made. So if you guys want to be updated and see all the changes made to my room, please make sure to subscribe and of course follow my other socials to stay updated with new room content. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, make sure to have a great day and peace.